Welcome back everybody, it's DestinysJesus here. Today we've got a new video. I'm basically breaking down how to W key like ILLEST the controller god. This guy's won 2 solo cash cups this season. He also won the warm-up FNCS and he's had really consistent placements with clicks and Bizzle as well. We've been breaking down why he's so effective at W keying in solos, a couple different tips and tricks he's doing for piece control, and also just for finishing fights as quick as possible, and also a couple different things for trios. Also I hope you guys in duos as well if you're preparing for the DreamHack Duos event and possibly duo FNCS in the future. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure to check out the first link in the description for my box fighting masterclass. You guys get on with the video. One thing that's extremely underrated in actual close quarter fights is understanding how useful AR pressure is just to stop somebody healing and also buy time for yourself to get towards them. So what this does here is it just preps the guy's wall a couple times. Good rule of thumb is you just shoot it 3 times with any type of AR and then it'll be 1 hit for your pickaxe to go for a swing. So he gets the right 1 shot a bunch of times, then he goes to the wall take. Instead he decides to go round to the side, get a nice off angle towards the right hand, and he also has his right hand peak. One thing he messes up on is he swings too wide here, so the guy gets a big trade-off, but he gets the guy 1 HP. From here again, he's just going to go for that AR pressure. He knows he can get so much damage off, especially in an off-spawn situation. Plays a right peak from a distance and gets the knock since the guy's trying to get his last mini off. All of that pressure is just annoying the other guy and forcing him to make a mistake like that. This is what that AR pressure looks like when you're trying to go for your minis. Make sure whenever you're in an in-game situation you get something low, just use your AR a lot more. Any type of AR has enough shots to actually break a wood wall 6 times fully over, and if you do it in kind of sequences, you can go for a 10 times break. Also, what you can do, which is really nice, is go for a drop on somebody, where you shoot 3 times and then you go for a pickaxe swing on them in place. One thing that's really important for close range situations and not a lot of people talk about is actually your crosshair placement as you go for builds and edits. So I'm going to break down 2 things here. So as ILLEST is coming forward and doing edit course in this kind of bad player, one thing you notice is how he looks and flicks down with his crosshair straight away there to get that wall placement. That just means it's going to place as close as possible to him so it doesn't place further away, it doesn't place at like an awkward angle. Another thing that you're going to notice he does is actually, as he does this edit, he's going to start on his top left there, and then drag up. You can't really see it because it's a replay, but he starts on the top left, drags up and finishes in that center window. He knows the player is going to be located, and then from here you can go for any kind of piece control as well. So he starts top left, drags it down, so even if he was to mess it up and miss a thing, he'd still at least get a Dorito edit, which you can go for a shot from, or instead he can just get that arch with a perfect crosshair placement. Gets the box up on the guy, gets the back walls as well, and cones him, and then from here, perfect crosshair hit, nice 200 bump. When it comes to your crosshair placement, you always need to be very mindful of where your crosshair is finishing up at the end of an edit. So an example of this would basically be, whenever you're doing an arch edit, make sure you try to finish with your crosshair perfectly in the center here, where you don't have to adjust too much horizontally. So you see, I'm not finishing the whole way up here and I need to drag downwards and kind of put myself in an awkward situation. Always try finishing in the center, perfect horizontal. What I like to think about is keeping where it says edit or reset, and then you'll be on perfect headshot level, as you can see there. That's a really nice trick that you can do. Another thing, whenever you're doing a top right edit like this, try to drag your crosshair downwards as you readjust so you can actually figure out what the guy is. If you finish while looking up here, oftentimes you'll be blocking off and you won't exactly see where the person is in the box. One thing that PC players, or keyboard mouse players especially, mess up on is understanding when they should use their movement and their crouches in effective to get out of the way of shots and take less damage in return. So ILLEST has this guy's 1 HP. He doesn't really want to get pumped in head and have to waste his minis and bigs. So instead what he does is, as he does this very open edit, look at his movement. He's going to start by running to the right, swing right as always. Then he crouches just as the guy's pump timing will be ready, right? So as he opens the edit, he's ready to crouch, and then as soon as the guy's pump timing is ready, then he hits his crouch, gets below the guy's shot, he completely whiffs, and at that point he's very free to. Also, the edit that he's doing here, it's a pretty flat on edit, but however, it's kind of blocking the guy's vision just because of the fact that he's standing there. If he was to do a straight on arch edit and then do the crouch, it wouldn't be as effective. This is a really nice sequence that ILLEST does for a height take to actually close out this game in a solo cash cup. So what he does here is he scouts height a little bit, looking through his cone, then he goes for a bounce play out to Storm. Gets strength for a lot. Normally whenever you go for one of these bounce plays, make sure you build walls in front of yourself unless you're confident of winning that trade. And one thing he does there is doesn't even try to go for a trade shot as he gets dropped. He immediately just reconnects, able to get the thirst on land drop to Storm, goes ahead and grabs the mats, and then re-establishes high ground. At this point he shouldn't challenge at all he should do is wait for the other 2 players to survive and actually fight. So he waits for those 2 to fight, realizes one got cracked, and look at this timing that he does on the drop. Doesn't faff around, doesn't try popping a second mini, drops straight down, places a floor and that wall to his close hand side. Then look at this movement as he does his edit. The guy's expecting him to edit instantly. He's trying to go for a ramp placement here. It swings close to the left into where the arch is, swings in, and is able to finish the game just like that. One thing that this is really good at is actually going ahead, and when he goes for a height take, is he gets this extended wall at the top right here. So he gets that extended wall, and then from here he's pretty free to go whatever kind of box up or piece of control on the guy. One thing he always prioritizes is the center cone straight away. Then look how he gets the back walls and the top cone afterwards, and then he's going to take an AR trade to really get the guy earlier. This is a really nice build sequence that you can do to reduce the time that a fight takes, as well as just stopping somebody going up and reboxing upwards. What he does is actually go for that double cone towards the guy here and here, then he spins around, and look how he gets the extended wall as he goes to this right hand 90. Gets the extended wall to his left, spins around again, does a 180, gets this close wall on the guy to block him down, and immediately pressures on the wall as he drops down. Crash pads in, gets that white tag, and look, instead of just prioritizing going for the spray through the guy's wall or trying to break him out with his pickaxe, he gets that wall on the side, realizes, okay, there's an extra build piece here that I can go for, immediately goes ahead and grabs it, and then he's able to just pressure forward and kill the guy with his finesse. This is a really nice build sequence you can do in game that helps you get height very effectively at the start of a fight. So what ILLEST does, and this kind of comes from Zone Wars Wages, is making sure that when you go towards somebody, is you get these cones towards them to stop them going for a ramp and then keep going upwards. From here, you want to jump to the side and kind of just jumping right hand 90, just like this. And then from that, go for these walls to the side so you're protected from the opponent, and then you can edit forward and go for a height take, or just do a 180 and then go on top of them. What this looks like in full speed is basically as you go towards somebody, get these extended cones, then flip, get that wall to the side and go up to the height. Just like that, and you can go for a 180 and take height. This is something extremely important in shows and even more important in duos and there's only two. It's basically your pre-fight positioning and how you can set up a good pinch on a team that's boxed up to get initial damage and also split angles on the box fight. So what this is going to go ahead and do here is actually get a massive wide angle. You can see how Clicks Invisible kind of playing as a duo and backside together. And it's going to go for the spray towards the walls. This allows Clicks Invisible to pinch in from the low ground here, where ILLEST has kind of got this high ground position, stopping them from elevating and also stopping them reboxing backwards and getting away. As ILLEST comes in, he's got really nice timing where he's able to get some damage. Really nice knock on this other player as he comes around. And as he comes in here, look how he sets up, blocks off his left-hand side with that arch edit there. So if somebody was to be sneaking around with him, basically that means that he's covered off as he goes forward. This is a really sick edit that he does here as well. Is as this guy goes for an edit out on ILLEST, look at this really sick ramp edit he does. Flips the ramp perfectly like that, blocks the guy's shot, and then as well at the end. Really nice sequence, and that's basically the perfect example of how you can wipe a team in very quick succession and how that comes from your pre-fight positioning and set up on that as well. This is a really nice and effective Shockwave trick that you can do to actually export into other players' boxes when they're boxed up in trio fights. So what ILLEST does is actually go ahead and throw it on the top of his roof, and as he throws it, he moves forwards while crouching. It allows him to pop forward and get his 100 tag. One thing you'll notice, he doesn't actually fully commit into this 1v1 or try exporting into the guy's box straight away. He turns around and helps and makes sure that Clicks is okay with this fight, make sure they're eliminating the other team. You don't want to commit into an exploit or into a 1v1 situation when there's a full trio alive, because they'll probably just likely go for a double edit on you, or they'll take builds around you and then trap you in and knock you. So what it does is make sure that teammates are dealing with the enemies properly, so Clicks has just got that knock there. Then he exploits in as Clicks is coming from above, perfectly timed with that. From here, they're pretty free to just go ahead and wipe the last remaining player. Perfect time. In this next fight, pay close attention to this really nice stair edit that ILLEST does. That's something you can get in the habit of doing, and it's really effective. So what he does is actually go ahead and edit the top left of the stair down to the top right as well. This puts himself at a really good angle to go for a shot below where the other player is. You can see here this player's perspective is completely blocked off with the right hand side of the stair, and also where ILLEST is peeking from down below on the bottom left is blocked off by his character model you see here. He has no chance of going for a trade shot in return. ILLEST basically gets a free chunk. If you're interested in more of these really smart edits that you can go for, make sure to look at my box fighting masterclass course, link in the description. So ILLEST this barely misses his shot there, and then look as he plays around this guy behind here. So initial bit of damage, gets the low HP on the stair, and as the guy edits it again, he knows it's 1 HP. Look what he does. Places this and does a double extended cone to the far so the guy can't go for any kind of reaction, and then he just goes for a trade pump. He knows the guy's already cracked and ILLEST is good HP off spawn. Another really important part of trio fights and actually W King trios is to understand that you don't always need to be using your shotgun to get kills. A lot of the times, if you just put yourself into a backseat role where you use your AR, go for blueprint edits and go for sprays and trying to get damage and try to force the enemies to rebox away from you, that will help your teammates get elims in a much quicker fashion. So what ILLEST does here is perfect. Takes control, gets all of these center pieces as well, goes ahead and gets a blueprint edit from a distance here on this wall, and he's just going to spray through perfect synergy with Bizzle as he goes for this wall from the side, allows him to both go for the knock. So Bizzle gets that knock from that side, and they just pinch and finish the other player off. That entire fight, ILLEST used a single shotgun bullet, and they still wiped that team extremely quickly just because of how they were playing that angles together. One thing that ILLEST has basically mastered is how to do the straight on wall take without taking any damage in return or even getting pumped at all. So what he does here is he sets up straight, stands towards like the left hand side roughly, the close wall, and then he gets the wall instantly, goes to the cone, and look at his movement and also the edit he does, right? What he's doing is actually swinging it completely to the left, getting behind the opposite guy's wall, and he's also doing a very awkward edit for this other player where they can't really see too much just because of how it's done. If he did an arch edit here, or even a right hand arch, the guy would be able to immediately trade a shot off, but instead he does this, perfectly swings to the opposite side of the guy's box, and this guy has no time to react or even get a shot off.